Whatever it is, it is. And there's some real rules to this thing, whatever the hell it is. And one of them that seems to make sense is that you got to be nice to people, and you got to enjoy this thing, and you got to spread as much fun and happiness as you can. And if you can do that, you're like a generator of happy feelings, and people want to feel happy. Like you literally can generate like a whirlwind of happy feelings. You make happy communities. You can make happy connections between other people. And one of the best ways of doing it is to give them your real feelings about things, and to give them, you know, stand-up comedy, and to give them podcasts.
So what the universe wants is reality.
Well, this is my reality. This is all I can comment on. And my own physical, personal reality.
Instead of somebody else's. And that's the key.
Well, you can get defined easily by other people's perceptions of you. My whole life, I was convinced, when I was a young man, I was convinced I was a loser. Absolutely convinced. Until I started getting really good at martial arts, I never thought I was good at anything. I just had a very low self-esteem. And I was limiting myself by what I thought were other people's opinions of me. This is when I was a really young kid, and I didn't figure this out until I was like in my 30s. But I think that you absolutely can be limited by your perceptions of someone's definitions of you. But you can break through that stuff. That's what you break through with discipline. That's where you break through with hard work and concentration and focus. And that's why it's so important to have like either a discipline or an art or something that you're trying to create or something that you're really focusing on. Because if you don't have like a point of focus as a human, I think it's very hard to get through this life and have an appreciation for true struggle. Because our physical struggle with what our bodies are designed for, the caveman of 10,000 plus years ago, our bodies are still designed for that. That physical struggle doesn't really manifest itself when you're sitting in front of a cubicle, you know, in front of a computer in a cubicle in this unnatural position all day. I think the whole situation is very confusing for the human body, and we don't get the tests that we need in order to have what you would call personal sovereignty. So you got to impose those tests on yourself.
Just be real, and that's all you can do.
That is all you can do. But my confidence is not real. Like, I'm not a confident person. I'm an honest person, but I'm as terrified about possibilities as anybody. Issues when you deal with confidence, a lot of it is the way people are with each other. And I think we don't understand when we're doing it that we're limiting people, but that you can really limit a person's potential by defining it for them at a young age.
And that's what the system does. They dumb everybody down. They try to limit potential. And for me, that's
it seems to be a human thing, though. It doesn't seem to be just a system. It seems to be almost just a human weakness, a lack of character, and a lack of someone explaining to them or them experiencing where true happiness comes from, which is, you know, it sounds like really hippie, but true happiness comes from making other people happy. True happiness comes from being around happy people and enjoying each other's company. That's really hard for people to wrap their heads around, because they always associate true happiness. No, true happiness is with like titles, you know, or numbers, or objects that you possess, or whatever. You and I are both parents, and we both knew each other before we were parents. We knew each other when we were single, and I think having children of your own, you have a greater understanding of what a child really is. And a child, a human being, is just this bundle of potential. You know, I mean, how much energy does this battery have? And the energy can be wasted in a negative manner, or the energy can be focused in a positive manner. And the wrong situations in people's lives can put them in the wrong positions to make the wrong decisions, which sends them further and further and further down an undesirable path until they find themselves some horrible psychological piece of shit. And I think that at the root of that horrible psychological piece of shit, whether it's a dictator or it's a corrupt politician or it's an evil CEO, is a broken child. The heart of that is a person who didn't learn that your love for humanity should overcome your love for ones and zeros, and that you cannot be able to sacrifice your love for humanity for ones and zeros and be happy, because you'll realize you're some sort of you're like a cannibal on life if you do that. You're a person who has gone towards this thing that doesn't even mean anything, these numbers and objects, and put it at the forefront of the most important thing in your how do you affect the universe profile. You're not concerned about being nice to people. You're not concerned about having a positive impact on people. You're more concerned with making ones and zeros.
And when you don't care about other people, doesn't it really say you don't care about yourself?
It does, and see, we're not taught that. It sounds like hippie bullshit, but it really truly is how the human race interacts with each other. You really have to be nice to other people to be happy. You have to. If you're not, you won't be happy. And, you know, we all make mistakes, and we all find ourselves in positions of frustration, and we've all acted out and yelled at our dog when maybe we shouldn't have. And, you know, there's pressures in this life. But I think it's really important to recognize what those truly are, and to understand that at the end of it, we can alleviate a lot of how we deal with in this life if we really treated people the way we would treat them as if they were ourselves living another life.
Joe, what do you think about the Bin Laden raid?
I don't know. You know, first of all, I think that being in a position that, I think whenever you talk about any intense military operation like that, those guys, those Navy SEALs that did that, those Navy SEALs?
Yes.
Those are some of the baddest on the planet. I mean, I have a lot of respect for someone's ability, fortitude, character, discipline, the type of discipline involved in being a Navy SEAL. I have a tremendous amount of respect for those type of human beings. But what I don't necessarily trust is the people that make the decisions that put these guys into certain positions. It's them that I trust implicitly. Like I understand the kind of discipline that it takes to be elite at anything. And when you're an elite at something as life or death, as being a Navy SEAL, you're a bad period. So I don't ever want to say anything that's disrespectful to anybody that's in that position, because I respect their intentions 100%. But it sounds like a silly story. Like, everybody says this guy's been dead for a long time. They said that Bin Laden, I mean, I see all these different people who have said that Bin Laden had already been dead. I don't know. I wasn't there. I have no information other than some that I read in the newspaper or watch on TV.
But the official story...
The reason why you should qualify when you say something like that. Like, it seems like a silly story.
No, I understand.
But this is my reason for saying this. I saw the Jessica Lynch story, which was the girl who was injured in the Iraq War. They said that they had to go in and rescue her, and there was a gunfight, and they rescued her. And she said that no such thing ever happened. And she got in a lot of trouble, and took a lot of heat by refuting the official statement. They tried to manufacture a narrative about her life.
To get women in the military. What about Pat Tillman?
Yes, exactly. That's two things. Well, Pat Tillman, the bottom line is, whatever happened with him, he was killed by friendly fire. Now, that's not what was in the initial report. The initial reports of his death were that he had died in defending his country.
And the coroner wouldn't lie and said it was homicide.
Well, I mean, was it homicide or was it friendly fire? I think there's a lot of confusion when you're in a war.
Well, they shot him at a distance that he begged for his life. They came up and triple tapped him right in the forehead.
But how do you know that, though? If you weren't there,
coroner's report.
Yeah, but see, man, unless you were there, unless you saw how it happened, the coroner's report is going to show he got shot.
No, I hear you. It's just when you have a history. Pat was sending letters back to his family, said, "I'm going to go public on the war on drugs. This whole thing's a fraud. It's a lie," and then he magically dies. And I've just learned how their MO works. But no, I hear you.
But it is. But your possibility, what you're saying is that's in the game too. It's possible.
Well, I even talked to his brother. And
his brother's hardcore, man. I saw his brother at a reading at his funeral, where he was talking about how Pat didn't believe in God and Pat's dead, you know. And it was really intense. It was really intense. And his story is a strange one. I mean, it's a guy who, you know, this square-jawed, uber handsome, super powerful athlete who decides he was going to defend his country, like that football was secondary in his mind. I mean, he was a real patriot. I mean, this is a guy who really abandoned this multi-million-dollar lucrative career as a professional athlete to go and defend his country. I mean, that is a powerful human being that cannot be denied.
Saw it was a fraud and was going to come back and speak out.
Yeah, and was strong enough to realize that he had been duped and didn't, you know, look, he's a dangerous guy to have against you. And I think that the system, you know, doesn't like people like that. And does that mean that he was murdered? No, because I think war is hell, and I think horrible things happen in war, and I think it's very possible that he could have accidentally gotten killed by friendly fire. Joe, you got to go
out in 3 minutes, so let's just get this question.
3 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, before the New World Order shuts this place down.
Exactly. No, your fans are going to demand it. Obama. We talked to Obama deception. You called it. Not that we're saying Romney's good either, but the point is, with Obama, NDAA, 3 times the pot raids of Bush. I mean, what do you say about Obama in 4 years not facing re-election and the power of the pardon? Look at that camera, Joe.
I think it's really hard to be the president of the United States. And I think that our layman's view of that position is probably so woefully inadequate in really getting a feel for the magnitude of the pressure that guy must face from all sorts of different positions. And I think that what I said earlier is really important to consider whenever you're talking about the President of the United States. I don't think we really even have one iota of an understanding of the pressures that guy faces. And I think if you look at him and look at like the things he's written and look at the way he speaks and his positions that he holds and the way he debates things, he seems to be a very moral man. He seems to be a very wise guy, a very intelligent man. But I think that he is in an unbelievably difficult position. And a lot of the influences that are in politics and in national decision-making are not based on moral decisions. They're based on financial decisions. And they're based on the idea that making money is at least equally as important as benefiting human beings, as at least as equally important as something that would have a positive impact on human beings. Like, it can't be thought of that terrible things can be done, that environments can be polluted, that waste can be dumped into holes that's toxic for hundreds of thousands of years. As long as you can make money from doing that, that should be able to be done. It should be some sort of a balance in between. And I say that's ridiculous. Like, it's got to be thought of. It's got to be thought of from a position that anything that gets done, if it has a negative impact on humans, if it has a negative impact on the environment, it really shouldn't be done. What I'm saying is we were born into this situation where we were contributing this poison into the environment. And then it became this consideration of how much poison can you put in. I think we were born into this situation where, you know, we have these highways we travel to every day at work. Every day you get in your car and you start it and you drive. And then one day when you're in your 20s, whatever the hell it is, you realize, whoa, I'm a part of some crazy pollution machine. Like, okay, I thought I was just driving to work. Like, I thought I was doing what people had always done before me, but now I have to consider that maybe the people that had set this path before me really didn't understand the end game, really didn't understand the true consequences of lighting gasoline on fire to propel explosion engines and driving around with it. You know, that, like, really, that's not good. You don't want to breathe that.